The boy is here. If he's here, I have to show him. Those are the rules. He is not happy about it. Hi, my name is Megan, and this is Everything Lit. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am bringing you something that I don't think I've done on this channel yet. That is an unhaul. I am getting rid of books. And do you know why? I'm getting rid of books because this entire stack is books that I still need to haul. So I'm getting rid of some books to make room for new ones that I want more, that I'm more excited about. I have about 34, 35 books. I'm still on the fence about a couple, but I have a Second and Charles near me, so I can trade in the books, get some store credit, and maybe I'll buy some gifts or something there, or maybe I'll just buy more books. Who knows? I did find several of the Wayward Children books in hardcover there. I have these divided into two sections: books that I have read and I'm getting rid of, and books that I have not read and I'm getting rid of. Let's start with the books I have read. I have How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. I bought this for time travel research. It is kind of technically not time travel because this is about a man who essentially like lives a really long time. He ages like ultra slow. So it's a weird kind of vampire immortal thing, but they're not immortal, but he's from like Shakespeare's time. I don't know. It was kind of a mess. I didn't like it. It felt very preachy and I don't know, white man falls in love. I didn't like it. I didn't care for it. I think I gave it 2 stars on Goodreads, maybe 3 if I was feeling generous. I think I'm going to get rid of Prince Lestat by Anne Rice. I have the entire Vampire Chronicles series. However, this was trash. I listened to the audiobook and I didn't like it. It actively icked me out in some parts. It's just not worth it. I'm never gonna reread this. I never want to. I'll reread The Vampire Lestat. I'll reread Queen of the Damned, Tale of Body Thief, Interview with the Vampire, but I'm not rereading this. So it's gonna go by. I am getting rid of The Princess and the Goblin by George MacDonald. This is a children's story from the 1800s about goblins. It was just okay. I don't really feel a need to keep it in my collection. A very recent book that I read, The Death of Jane Lawrence by Caitlin Starling. I didn't care for this. I think I gave it 2 or 3 stars. The ending was confusing. The main character was frankly annoying, and it had gross medical details that icked me out. So I'm gonna unhaul it. Another recent one, Hope in the Dark by Rebecca Solnit. I didn't care for this. It was really dated. This is a nonfiction about activism and kind of the history of activism. And it was more about environmental activism, which is important, but it wasn't what I was looking for. And her idea about how to, like, hope in the dark, I thought it would be ways to keep hope, or how activists keep hope alive when things are difficult, and I just don't know that it really achieved that. I didn't get how to keep hope from this book, and because it originally was published in 2004, 20 years ago basically, it felt outdated, and it didn't address our current climate and the current fears and hardships that we have today. I'm gonna get rid of Curiosity Thrilled the Cat by Sophie Kelly. This is one of the first cozies I read, and it was cute, it was okay, but this is a magical cat mystery because our main character has 2 cats that kind of just showed up one day, and one of them can walk through walls and one of them can be invisible, I think, and that just makes it too easy to solve the mystery. Like, it was okay. It took place in Minnesota. You'd think that I would love it, but it just didn't work for me. And I don't plan to continue on the series, so I don't need to keep the first one. This next one kind of hurts me a little bit, just because the cover is so beautiful and buttery soft. But this is The Lionist by Chris Bojalian. Oh, can you see that dust in there? I don't think you can. Good, don't look at it. This is a safari survival story where this woman on her honeymoon, a big famous star on her honeymoon in the 1940s, 50s, goes on a safari vacation with her brother and some other Hollywood stars, and then they are kidnapped and they have to survive. And it was unoriginal. It was unoriginal and unimaginative, and I didn't enjoy it. And so I'm just gonna get rid of it. I don't need to keep it. I feel no need to reread it. I'm going to get rid of Beautiful Little Fools by Gillian Cantor. So this is a Great Gatsby retelling but it also kind of takes on the after effects and like who it is accused of killing Gatsby, who actually killed Gatsby, like what's the truth. And it follows 3 women, Jordan, Daisy, and a third woman who I don't think was in the original, named Catherine. And it was just okay. I felt like it was not as imaginative or interesting as I wanted it to be. And it kind of painted Daisy in this light of she was like afraid of Gatsby, or like she felt trapped by Gatsby, and then she felt trapped by Buchanan, and so I just didn't love the framing of this version of the narrative. I will be getting rid of Long Live the Pumpkin Queen by Shay Earnshaw. This is a Nightmare Before Christmas story set in that world, and it's about Sally, and after she and Jack get married, they go on their honeymoon to one of the other worlds, and then I think something evil steals in and starts making everyone fall asleep and be like stuck in the nightmare town, Halloween town. And we find out some things about Sally in her past and why she is so different from all the other things in Halloween town, all the other people. And I didn't like it. I didn't like the twist. I didn't like what happened. I didn't like most of it. So why am I going to keep it? Just because it's cute? Just because I like The Nightmare Before Christmas? I didn't like this book. So I'm gonna get rid of it. Then we've got a twofer. I'm going to get rid of both of the books in this series. So this is Witch Please and Boss Witch by Anne Aguirre. These are witchy romances. The first one follows Danica, and she is falling in love with a human who doesn't have magic, which is what they're not supposed to do. And he is like a virgin, but also there's a curse, but it was kind of a yikes by the end. I did not love it. I didn't love the resolution, and yeah, it was just weird. And then, so in the middle of this book, her sister, Clementine, has to like seduce a witch hunter because they're in danger, and I don't even remember. And so this book follows her seducing this witch hunter. So they kind of take place at the same time, which was confusing and difficult, and like I wasn't bought into either of these romances. I would argue this one was slightly better, but like no, just no. And so I'm getting rid of them because why do I need to keep them if I didn't like them? I will also be unhauling The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. This was a decent book, but I am not a horror person, and this was horror and horrific, and the descriptions, and there's violence against animals. I understand why other people like this. I understand why other people give this 5 stars, and I agree it is a well-written, like this is a good book, but it is not a book I enjoyed, and I don't feel the need to keep it for that reason. I will be getting rid of Phos by Samuel R. Delaney. This is a erotic novel, but it's not even erotic because it's like a book within a book about a scholar who is writing a paper about this erotic novel, and like so it talks about the book, but it's not eroticized, like it's not the book. It's very hard to explain, but it's basically the whole book is a summary of a different book, but all the sexy parts are like taken out or summarized, and then it has footnotes of the people leaving like peer review comments on this paper about this book. So it was like, it was fine. It was a little too, I don't know, I don't want to say it was too intellectual for me, but like I didn't care enough. I read it and now I don't need it. I am going to get rid of Where Dreams Descend by Janella Angelis. This book was decent. I enjoyed it at the time. It's YA fantasy. It's supposed to be like a Moulin Rouge Phantom of the Opera mashup. There's magic. There's a magical competition. There's kind of an enemies to lovers thing happening. We have our main character who escapes from her home when she finds out that like her keeper has been lying to her or whatever, and then it has a bunch of magicians facing off to be the next big thing. This book was fine. The sequel, which I am so glad I did not buy, I got the sequel on audio from my library and it was a mess and I did not like it. So why keep this first one if I'm not going to complete the set, and I don't plan on rereading this. So I'll just let someone else have it. Other people will like it. It's fine. I'm unhauling The Female of the Species by Joyce Carol Oates. This is a collection of short stories, and while the short stories were decent, they felt derivative. They felt unoriginal, and that's not a knock on Joyce Carol Oates, because these are the stories that other people are trying to mimic. Like, these are the originals from 2005, and if I have read stories like this since then, it's because they were trying to be the next Joyce Carol Oates. And like, I get it. They were good. They were tense. There was interesting things happening, but like, I don't need to keep this. It was fine. I'm never going to reread it. And I don't want to write stories derivative of these because everyone else is doing that. So we're just going to unhaul it. I will be getting rid of Warlock Holmes, A Study in Brimstone by C.G.S. Denning. This is a Sherlock Holmes retelling where Sherlock is a warlock, but also John Watson is like trying to deal with magic, and like magic is real and like crazy stuff happens. This is actually like a bind up of like 3 different stories, because I mean, that's how it works. So there's like the case of the cardboard case. I just didn't think it was that funny. I didn't think it was that entertaining, and I don't need to keep it. This is one of the books I'm kind of on the fence about, and that is Strangers on a Train by Patricia Highsmith. If you've ever seen the Strangers on a Train movie, you're good. I don't think you need to read this. This is a thriller / suspense story where these 2 men meet on a train and they agree to commit a murder on each other's behalf. And one of them goes through with it and then pressures the other into doing it. I really loved the movie, bought this, read it, thought it was okay, have completely forgotten it. And I think the book is a lot less enjoyable than the movie. Another book I read, Still Watch by Mary Higgins Clark. This was decent. I read it for a book club and got a used copy from a used bookstore, so I'll just pass it on to the next person. This is a thriller about a woman covering a senator for like a TV spot, and they're very particular about what kind of questions can be asked and how the thing is going to be shot, because she has a past that she doesn't want known. There's kind of some suspicious stuff happening. Our reporter also has a past that is shrouded in mystery, and it just like, it was okay. I don't need to keep it though. I'm going to get rid of Once Dishonored by Mary Jo Putney. This is a historical romance. This is about a woman who is disgraced. She has gotten divorced and society is like, oh my God. And this man like takes interest in her, and they try and work to get her reputation restored and like figure out some stuff about her life. And I just did not enjoy it. The plot points were weird. The twist, there was like a twist that was kind of icky. Not icky, but like, I don't know, it hinged on like her having memory issues at some point. Like, the cover is amazing. Like, look at that badass. And it talked about the historical importance of divorce and like how women were treated after they got divorced in high society back in the day, and like what that was like, and the avenues that were not available to women. I am finally getting rid of Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. I have thought about getting rid of this on multiple occasions, and I just haven't pulled the trigger because I'm like, what if I want to read the next one? What if I want it? I don't want it. This was okay. I feel no need to continue with the series, and I don't love or support this person. So, 'tis gone. And the final book that I have read that I will be getting rid of is Z by Therese Ann Fowler. And this is a novel of Zelda Fitzgerald. I read this. It was fine. I felt like I didn't learn anything new. I've done a lot of research on Hemingway and then by association the Fitzgeralds, and this didn't tell me anything I didn't already know. I didn't feel like I discovered anything new about the characters. I feel like it was fine. It was a decent historical fiction novel. My friends who I read it with as like a little friend book club, they all liked it more than I did, and they thought it was more interesting than I did. But I have that history of researching Hemingway and the Fitzgeralds and that when they were all in Paris together and beyond. So it just didn't work for me. Now let's talk about the books that I have not read that I will be getting rid of. First, we have Wolfsong by TJ Klune. I am on the fence about this because this is the like self-published paperback, and I now have the beautiful hardcovers for this series, and I'm going to be able to get the whole series in those beautiful hardcovers. So like, do I need to keep this? No, probably not. Am I tempted to keep it just to show that I was on the train before it got popular? A little bit. I'm getting rid of Hunted by Megan Spooner. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I read the first chapter of it in my try chapter video. Couldn't make it all the way through. The first chapter was like 30 pages. I did not care. It's of course about a woman or a girl who like goes out in the forest. She's really good with a bow and arrow, I think, and like, I don't know, something happens. She gets traded in with the beast. I don't know. This is available from my library on audio and maybe ebook. So like if I ever feel the urge to read this, I can just get it from the library. I will be getting rid of 2 Marion Zimmer Bradley books. You can tell these are old. These are library like book sale books that I picked up in my childhood. Gravelight and The Forest House. I have heard awful things about this author, and why read the books and like them and then be disappointed that I like the writing of a terrible person when I can just get rid of them and not read them and not have that like guilt. Like I don't need to do that. Why do I want to get attached to a problematic author when J.K. Rowling is already right there? Like I'm not attached to her. I don't talk about Harry Potter on this channel because it hurts people, and I don't need to do that. It has enough exposure, it has enough media. I don't need to add to it. I don't want to get into that. But so I don't talk about that on this channel for that reason. And so I'm just going to get rid of Marion Zimmer Bradley's books and quietly back away. I am getting rid of 2 Jude or Judy Deveraux books. One is An Angel for Emily and the other is The Conquest. There's nothing wrong with these. I just went through a phase where I bought a lot of Jude Deveraux because I bought one book by her and my mom really liked it, and I was like, well, if my mom likes it, I'll read it and I'll like it and I'll just buy a bunch of her books. So these are romances. I think that at least one of them is a historical romance, if not both, and I just don't care. Like, there are a lot of Jude Deveraux books out there. If I ever change my mind, I'm sure I can pick these up at any used bookstore, library book sale, anything. I am going to unhaul Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. This is another one where I can get it from the library if I ever have the desire to read it, but I have heard mixed things about it, and I have heard not great things about the author. So I'm just gonna get rid of it. The other thing is, I bought this in hardcover, right? So if I want to read the rest of the series, I would have to get them all in hardcover so they match. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just use my library, and if I ever feel the need to read this, there are so many other books I could read. I don't need to prioritize this, so it's going to go bye-bye. I will be getting rid of Prince Lestat and the Realms of Atlantis by Anne Rice. I didn't like Prince Lestat. Why would I like the sequel? If I want to read it, the library has it. I don't know if I want to do that to myself, but you never know. Another book that the library has is Ash by Melinda Lowe. This is a YA, like classic queer story. It says the love story that transformed a genre. I don't feel the need to go back and revisit queer YA just because it's queer. This is a Cinderella retelling and it doesn't really appeal to me right now anymore. And if it ever does, if I ever do want to read it, the library has it. So I'm going to pass this on, and hopefully someone who really loves it, really needs it, can find it. I am unhauling Zenith, the Andromeda Saga by Sasha Alsberg and Lindsay Cummings. This is a YA sci-fi space pirate Blackbeard retelling, kind of. And once again, library has it. So if I ever feel the need, I can get it from the library. This is a beautiful book. I love the purple, love the cover, but I've just heard mediocre things about the writing, and I do not feel the need to keep it. So these last 4, I'm kind of on the fence about. I should just get rid of them. If I even have the thought like, oh, I'm just gonna unhaul it, I should probably just unhaul it. This is The Alienist. This is clearly a library edition that they got rid of, and I bought it. It was probably like 50 cents, and I thought it looked interesting. It sounds interesting, Could I just watch the TV show? Yeah, I could. Could I get it from my library and not own this copy? Yeah. So I actually think that Second and Charles won't take it because it's a library book, which also makes me think like maybe I should just keep it. What if I want to read it? I can just keep it. But I also think I should just get rid of it because it's taking up space. The Bronze Horseman by Paulina Simons. This is a like historical romance set in Russia. I've just heard that the relationship is actually like super toxic, and but it sounds juicy, okay? But I don't know if I want to read like a 500-page historical romance that's the first in a series that has mixed reviews, you know? Like I'm on the fence. I will probably get rid of it, but like, what if I like it? And I don't remember if the library has this one or not. So that's another reason I'm like, maybe I should just keep it? I don't know. Final Six by Alexandra Monnier. I might keep this one. Okay, let's be real. I might keep it. The library does have the audiobook available, but like, what if I like it? What if I want the sequel? I had this recommended to me by someone who I worked with at Barnes & Noble. They said it was really good, really exciting. So like, what if it's great? And then I unhauled it, and then I listened to the audiobook and I'm like, no, I need it. So I'm just talking myself into keeping this one. And another one that I might just keep is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. I didn't love the book as much as I loved the TV adaptation, but it is fascinating. It is fascinating. I feel like you could write essays on what this book is doing and the main character and all of that stuff. So like, I kind of want to keep it because it's a classic and because I've read it and like, it's interesting, okay? Maybe I want to reread it someday. So like, I might keep these two. Okay, I might keep this one too. This is why I don't do unhauls. I can't commit to it. Barring these three, I will get rid of the rest because I don't need them. But this says it's part Arthur Conan Doyle, part Silence of the Lambs. I'm gonna go now. Those are the books that I am going to unhaul. I'm going to get rid of them. They've been sitting in a pile on my floor waiting for me to just take them to the bookstore and trade them in. So I'm gonna do that eventually, maybe this weekend. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, you could click that like button. If you wanna see my book haul next week, you could hit that subscribe button. But really, you can do whatever you want. I'll see you next time.